She quit her job and left the city. Part 1. The Decision. Emma lived in a small apartment on the 6th floor of an old building in the city. Every morning, she woke up to the same sound: car horns, alarms, and shouting from the street below. And every morning, she felt tired, not just in her body, but deep inside. She worked at a marketing company. The job was not terrible, but it wasn't good either. Emails, meetings, long hours in front of a screen. Each day felt like a copy of the one before. One Wednesday evening, after a long day, Emma sat on her couch with a cup of tea. The sky outside was gray, and the buildings looked heavy. She picked up her phone and scrolled through old photos. One photo showed a beach, another showed a small green hill. Both were from 3 years ago, when she had taken a short trip to the countryside. Emma put her phone down. She said aloud to the empty room, "I want to leave." The words surprised her, but she didn't take them back. Part 2. Packing light. The next day, Emma called her manager. "Emma, I'm sorry, I can't continue. I'm giving my notice." There was a pause on the other end of the call. "Manager, are you sure this is sudden?" Emma, "Yes, I've been thinking about it for a while. I just didn't say it out loud." The manager accepted, and the call ended. Emma sat quietly for a moment. Then she smiled. She opened her closet. She didn't need much. Some clothes, her journal, a book, her headphones. She packed a small suitcase. It felt light. She didn't know where to go at first. Then she remembered a small town called Windermere. She had passed through it once during a train ride. It was near the hills, with a quiet river and a small bookstore. She searched for a guest house online. There was one available for a month. She booked it. The next morning, she took the train. Part 3. A New Sound. The train moved slowly past green fields and quiet towns. Emma sat by the window and watched the city disappear behind her. She listened to music for a while, then took off her headphones. The silence was different here. It wasn't empty, it was full of soft things: the wind, birds, the train's rhythm. She arrived in Windermere around noon. The station was small, only one platform. A man with a dog waved at her, though he didn't know her. She pulled her suitcase and followed the map on her phone to the guest house. It was a small stone building with ivy on the walls. A woman named Claire opened the door and smiled. "Claire, you must be Emma. Welcome." Part 4. The Guest House. Claire showed Emma to her room. It was upstairs, with a small window that looked out over the garden. There was a wooden desk, a soft bed, and a small bookshelf with old novels. "Claire, breakfast is at 8. There's tea and biscuits in the kitchen anytime. Feel free to use the garden." "Emma, thank you, it's beautiful here." Claire smiled. "Claire, people come to Windermere when they want to be quiet for a while." Emma liked that. She unpacked her suitcase. It didn't take long, and then sat at the window. The garden below had lavender, mint, and wild grass. A cat was sleeping under a chair. For the first time in months, Emma didn't feel rushed. She took out her journal and wrote. Day 1, no meetings, no plans, just quiet. That evening, she walked through the town. There was a bakery, a small cafe, and an old bookstore with a red door. She stepped inside. A man looked up from the counter. "Man, hello there, looking for something." "Emma, just exploring, this place is charming." "Man, it's been here 42 years. Books don't age if they're read often." She smiled and looked around. The shelves were full of stories, poetry, maps, and old notebooks. She picked one up. The cover was blank, but the pages were soft and cream-colored. "Man, that one's for people who don't know what they want to write yet." Emma bought it. That night, she sat on the bed and opened the new notebook. She didn't know what to write, so she began with this. What happens when we stop running? Part 5, a routine of slowness. Over the next week, Emma fell into a new rhythm. She woke with the sun, had breakfast in the garden, went for long walks along the river, read for hours at the cafe. Sometimes, she helped Claire in the kitchen. Everything was slow, and she liked it that way. One afternoon, while walking by the water, she met a woman painting on a small wooden stool. Emma, that's beautiful. The woman smiled. Woman, thank you, I come here most days. The light is different every time. They talked for a while. The woman's name was Marla. She was an art teacher in the town. She offered Emma tea at her home the next day. Part 6, Marla's tea. The next afternoon, Emma walked to Marla's house. It was a small white cottage with blue shutters and many plants in the front yard. She knocked gently. The door opened almost instantly. Marla, right on time, come in. The inside was cozy. Books everywhere, canvas on the walls, warm colors. It smelled like lemon and paint. They sat by the window with tea and small cakes. Emma, it's beautiful here. Marla, I moved here 15 years ago. I was living in the city, too. Emma looked up, curious. Emma, why did you leave? Marla, I got tired of making noise instead of meaning. That sentence stayed in Emma's head for a long time. They talked for hours, not about deep things, but slow ones. How time feels different when you don't fill it with plans. How silence can be a kind of music. How trees grow, even when no one is looking. Before Emma left, Marla said, Marla, you're not lost, you're just changing direction. Emma smiled. It didn't feel like a quote. It felt like a truth. Part 7, writing something real. Back at the guest house, Emma opened her notebook again. This time, she didn't pause. I thought I was tired of work, but maybe I was just tired of being a person I didn't know anymore. I didn't want more time. I wanted slower time. She kept writing. Not full pages, just moments. The smell of bread, the shape of clouds, a cat chasing leaves. Things she hadn't noticed in months. She visited the bookstore again. The man at the counter remembered her. Man filled the notebook already. Emma, almost. Man, then you're living well. She bought another one, this time with a green cover. Part 8, a letter to herself. One rainy morning, Emma sat at the desk in her room. The window was foggy. The garden below was wet and quiet. She lit a candle and opened her green notebook. She didn't know what to write at first. Then she began. Dear me, I'm proud of you, not for doing something big, but for stopping. For listening, for walking slowly. You are not broken. You were just surrounded by too much noise. Keep this version of yourself close. She closed the notebook and leaned back. Outside, the rain softened. Part 9, an unexpected offer. That afternoon, Claire called from the kitchen. Claire, Emma, could you come here for a moment? Emma walked downstairs. Claire, my cousin owns a small reading club in town. They meet once a week at the cafe. They lost their organizer. I told them about you. Emma raised her eyebrows. Emma, me. Claire, you love stories. You notice things. That's what they need. Emma hesitated, then nodded. Emma, I can try. The next Thursday, she stood in front of a small group of 5 people. A mix of ages, warm faces. She read from a short story, then asked, Emma, what do you think this story is really about? The room was quiet for a moment. Then someone spoke. Then another. The conversation began to flow. Emma didn't lead, she listened. After the session, one woman stayed behind. Woman, I stopped reading after my husband passed. Today, I remembered why I loved stories. Emma's throat tightened. She didn't say anything, just reached out and touched the woman's hand gently. That night, she walked back to the guest house under a clear sky. She looked up. The stars didn't shout, they simply were. And that was enough. Part 10, a Sunday without plans. Emma woke early on Sunday. There were no messages. No deadlines. No meetings to prepare for. She made tea and brought it to the garden. The grass was still wet from the night's dew. A bird landed near her chair, then flew away just as quietly. She sat with her notebook, but didn't write. Instead, she just listened. To wind through trees. To bees near lavender. To her own breath. Time felt like water moving, but not rushing. Later that day, she visited Marla again. They painted silently, on a large canvas together. Marla guided her hand sometimes, but didn't correct her. Marla, there are no mistakes in quiet art. Emma didn't know what that meant exactly. But it felt right. Part 11, 1 month later. 1 month passed. Emma didn't feel like a different person. She felt more like herself than she had in years. She still had no job, no plan, no calendar full of tasks. And yet, she didn't feel lost. Claire came to her one evening and said, "Claire, some guests come for rest, others come for answers. You seem to have found both." Emma smiled. She had thought leaving the city would solve her problems. Instead, it had shown her that the answer wasn't escape. It was presence. She sat on the porch that evening with a candle and wrote, "I didn't change my life, I slowed it. I didn't find something new. I made space for what was already waiting." Part 12, the return or not. Emma stood by the train station again. Her suitcase beside her. Her phone in her hand. She had booked a return ticket to the city. It was for tomorrow. But something inside her wasn't sure anymore. She looked around the hills, the bookstore, the sky. She remembered the day she arrived. Tired, silent, uncertain. Now she felt quiet, but not from exhaustion. From peace. That evening, she walked to the bookstore and saw the man behind the counter. Man, back to the city. Emma, maybe, I'm not sure. Man, it'll wait for you, cities don't go anywhere. Emma smiled. She picked up another notebook. This one had a blue cover. She walked by the river one last time. Watched the sunset turn the hills gold. Past the same trees, the same benches, and yet everything felt different now. She sat down and wrote, "If I go back, I'll carry this version of me with me. If I stay, I'll grow her here. Either way, I know myself better now." The next morning, she didn't go to the station. She went to the cafe and ordered tea. Then she opened her notebook, took a deep breath, and began to write again, slowly, fully, like someone who had remembered how to live. The end.